Surf Excel නම් භාගයයි මාසයකට වඩා රිදි සෝතයි.
හරිම සුළුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Thursday the 23rd of February 2023. No legal grounds. There was no election declared to be postponed, claims President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
නිල වශයෙන් නීති අනුකූල ඡන්ද දිනයක් නැහැ. මම මූලිකත්වය දෙන්නේ ආර්ථිකයට.
Independent MP Dayasiri Jayasekara proposes to reappoint the Election Commission.
ඔබතුමාලා අලුත් කොමිසම පත් කරලා හරි මේක කරන්න අපතුමාගේ ඉල්ලීමකට එකඟ වෙනවා.
Foreign policy and economy. SJB MP Eran Wickramaratne says that the country's land should not be given for foreign military bases.
Military alliances and treaties based on military alliances are an absolute no-no.
Tourism State Minister says that Russia-Ukraine war should end for tourism to grow.
We as a third world country too, and lots more countries in the world are too suffering with the economical conditions due to this war.
Clean and green. Adani's $420 million worth wind power plant projects in the north received BOI approval.
From the date of signing the contract, they have promised us that they will be commissioning within 2 years.
උසස් පෙළට පසු කොලිෆයි වෙමු ඉහළට යමු ජය අරගමු ප්‍රොමෝෂන් එකට ඊළඟ දාගත්තොත් ඩිග්‍රිය ගොඩ
ජාතික කළමනාකරන ආයතනය NIPM වෙතින් රාජ්‍ය වගකීම සහ ලෝපිලිගත් උපාධියක් තරුණ ඔබට Be smart, be qualified, be recognized with NIPM ජාතික වැවිලි සරසවිය.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Andrew Bernard. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening and welcome to AdaDerana 24's English News. Now, as pressure mounts on the government and the president amid claims of attempts to delay the local government election, President Ranil Wickremesinghe claims that elections were not delayed as there was no election announced to be postponed. Speaking in Parliament today, the president pointed out to a lack of consensus on the part of the Election Commission by not meeting a quorum of 3 out of 5 members when making the decisions on holding the election. The head of state reiterated that his priority is resurrecting the economy, adding that the country will not exist without a sound economy.
ආණ්ඩුවට ඉස්සරහට යන්න බෑ කියලාත් අපි දන්නවා. හැබැයි ඒකට විසඳුම ඡන්දේ නොතියන එක නෙමෙයි. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයාගේ බලාපොරොත්තු තමයි ලබන අවුරුද්ද කෙලින්ම ජනාධිපතිවරණයකට යන්න. ඡන්දේ කල් දාලා නැහැ. කල් දාන්න ඡන්දයක් නැහැ. අපි දන්න හැටියට දැන් වෙනකන්වත් ඡන්ද දිනයක් නම් කළා නැහැ. නිල වශයෙන් නීති අනුකූල ඡන්ද දිනයක් නැහැ. සමහරු මාර්තු 9 ගැන කියනවා. ඒක මට කියන්න බෑ 9 ගැන. මම දන්න හැටියට නීති අනුකූල තීරණයක් නැහැ තියන්න කියලා. 104 කියන්න the quorum for any meeting of the commission shall be 3 members. මේ දෙන්නයි තීරණය ගත්තේ සභාපති එම්.එම්. මොහමඩ්. ඊට පස්සේ අනික් අය කතා කරලා ඒගොල්ලෝ අනුමැතිය ගත්තලු. ඒකෙත් ওই 3 දෙනාගෙන් ඇහුවොත් ඒ අය මේ ස්ථාවරේ ඉන්නේ නැහැ. ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම නිල වශයෙන් තීරණයක් කරන්නේ නැහැ ඡන්දේ තියන්න. දැන්ට මුදල් නැහැ. ඒත් දැන්ට ඡන්දෙකුත් නැහැ. ඉතින් මොනා කරන්නද? විපක්ෂයේ മന്ത്രിවරුන්ට මේ ඡන්දේ වොමන නෑ. මට එව්වේ පණිවිඩේ. ඔබතුමන්ලා මේක පුළුවන් නම් කල් දාන්න අපි ටිකක් කෑ ගහලා ඊට පස්සේ වාඩි වෙනවා කියලා. ඔබතුමාට කිව්වේ නැද්ද? ඔබතුමාට කිව්වේ නැද්ද? ඔබතුමාට කිව්වේ නැද්ද? සජිබේ What did you say? For the first time in history, the Supreme Court has shot down a helicopter. All this time, it was done by the Tigers. කිව්වා. අයවැයෙන් බිලියන 10ක් වෙන් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඇයි ඒක ඔබතුමා දෙන්නේ නැත්තේ? අයවැයෙන් ට්‍රිලියන 2ක්ද 3ක්ද වෙන් කරලා තියෙනවා. මට ඒ ඔක්කොම මේ සැරේ දෙන්න බෑ. අපිට IMF කිව්සුම අනුව මුදල් මුද්‍රණය කරන්න බෑ. මුද්‍රණය කරනවා නම් අපිට එතෙන්ට යන්න බෑ. අපි නීතිය අනුව වැඩ කරේ. මම මූලිකත්වය දෙන්නේ ආර්ථිකයට. ඒක හැදුවේ නැත්තම් රටක් නෑ.
මේ මැතිවරණ කොමිසම ඔබතුමා කියනවා 3 දෙනයි පිළිගත්තේ. අනික් කට්ටිය
හිටියේ නෑ කොමිසම රැස්තුනේ නෑ.
නෑ ඒක තමයි තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ. එහෙනම් ඔබතුමාලා අලුත් කොමිසම පත් කළා හරි මේක කරන්න අපිට දැන් මට ගරු ජයපතිතුමා
මැතිවරණ කොමිසම නැවත පත් කළ යුතුයි කියන යෝජනාව මම ස්ථිර කරනවා මේ අවස්ථාවේදී.
Mr. President, we thank you for having accepted the opposition request to appoint a select committee to go into the economic crimes of this country. But it has been a practice in the past, in order to ensure the credibility of that select committee, make sure that the government agrees to appoint an opposition member as the chairman, so that there will be more credibility to the inquiry conducted by the select committee. I think that should be considered, but that you all have to do. I am not a member. Certainly in the committee of selections, you all can. I have only one member. I am directing it. Why don't we get together and make him the chairman? No, that is a matter. I have got you the date. You all, I am not unsympathetic with that. I would like to tell you, we'll consider it. And also, let me give you, tell me one thing. We are also presenting the new anti-corruption bill. I think within 2 weeks or so, the minister will present it. And you all ensure that it conforms with the UN Charter, the UN resolution also. So we'll give it to you all to study and look at it.
Now, the parliamentarian of the Samagi Janabala Vegiyaran Vikramaratne says that transparency and accountability is key to attract investments. Meanwhile, the State Minister of Tourism Diana Gamage called on the Russian President Vladimir Putin to stop the war with Ukraine, stating that countries in the third world, including Sri Lanka, are suffering due to the war.
IMF එකේ තීන්දුව මම හිතනවා ලබන සතිය ඇතුළත අපිට ලැබේවි. It's coming up to 1 year since this Ukraine-Russian warfare, since Russia had invaded Ukraine. I would like to pledge President Putin in Russia. This has caused a huge damage, not only to Ukraine, but to the whole world. When it comes to economy and economical condition, we are all having to face the consequences of this war. I think it's time that you come into some amicable solution, to some sort of conversations or solutions or communication to end this war which has created and taken away the best of Ukraine so far. I pledge, for the sake of peace, that this war shall end as soon as possible, because we as a third world country too, and lots more countries in the world, are too suffering with the economical conditions due to this war.
We have to be an independent country, and therefore our foreign policy is absolutely critical. Sri Lankans' independence, Sri Lankans' living standards. We have to engage with the world not as non-aligned, but I would put it as a multi-alignment country. That is protecting our independence. Sri Lanka should never provide military bases for any foreign military power, nor enter into treaty-based military alliances. I think it doesn't matter which government is in power, we need to be realistic about what our position is, and therefore military alliances and treaties based on military alliances are an absolute no-no. But that should not prevent Sri Lanka from practicing a multi-aligned foreign policy in line with our national interest of promoting economic and social development and democracy. Unless Sri Lanka seriously addresses reconciliation issues and accountability in terms of human rights, it's highly unlikely this situation will change. In fact, even to promote major investments, accountability and transparency is a key prerequisite. Sri Lanka must return to the ongoing forums of vibrant democracies of the world, which are in fact thriving economies with a view to benefiting from resultant social and economic links that will enable raising the standards and well-being of all Sri Lankans.
Now, the Attorney General has informed the Supreme Court that President Ranil Wickremesinghe has decided not to place his signature on the verdicts delivered by any court of law in Sri Lanka to implement capital punishment. Now, this was informed by the Additional Solicitor General Nerine Pulle, who appeared on behalf of the Attorney General. The statement was made when the fundamental rights petition filed against former President Maithripala Sirisena's move to place his signature on death sentences handed down to 4 individuals convicted of narcotics-related charges back in 2019 was called before a 5-member Supreme Court judge bench this morning. The FR petition had been filed by the relevant death row inmates, Centre for Policy Alternatives and several others. Now, the Board of Investment issued approval to India's Adani Green Energy Limited for an investment of $442 million to set up 2 wind power plants in Mana and Pune. According to the State Minister of Investment Promotion, Dilum Amunugama said that the lease period of the project will be 99 years. Addressing media after the issuance of the letter of approval, the State Minister said that there are no small-scale electricity project proposals that the BOI has been unable to provide approvals for due to technical reasons cited by the Ceylon Electricity Board.
The Board of Investment issued a letter of approval to India's Adani Green Energy Limited yesterday for 2 wind power plants to be set up in Mana and Pune at a total investment of $442 million. Upon completion, the 2 wind power plants are expected to add 350 megawatts to the national grid, with 250 megawatts from Mana and 100 megawatts from Pune. According to the BOI, the project is expected to be completed within 2 years. In March last year, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the Board of Investment and Adani Green Energy Limited for the construction of 2 wind power plants. Later on in August last year, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchan Wijesekara said Adani Green Energy Limited was issued provisional approval for the 2 projects.
So today we have issued them the letter of approval of the BOI, and after they have signed the power purchase agreement, then BOI also will be signing the contract with Adani Group, and from the date of signing the contract, they have promised us that they will be commissioning within 2 years. So if we are able to sign maybe within the next 2 months, by 2025 they should be able to commission and supply 350 megawatts to the national grid.
සමගට අමතරව තවත් මේ වගේ විදුලි බලය සම්බන්ධයෙන් ආයෝජන
විශාල වශයෙන් තියෙනවා. මේක ටිකක් ලොකු ව්‍යාපෘති දෙකක්.
There are a lot. This is a large-scale project. However, there are small-scale project proposals which have been approved while some have not been approved due to the inability to sign power purchase agreements. Engineers have told the minister that it is unable to balance the grid with these projects. This is a technical issue which should be resolved by the CEB engineers. However, the minister is taking necessary measures to address this.
Payments is it more than what is given to the local?
No, it will be the normal tariff for the wind to power operators.
They won't get any concessions.
BOI concessions they will get. That is why they are signing.
And the lease, what is the lease agreement? 33 years or 99 years?
These projects we will have to give for 99 years.
Now, the National People's Power leader Anurukumara Dissanayake claims that his alliance is gathering power of the common man to defeat the ruthless intentions of the government. He made these remarks addressing an election campaign rally in Kandy.
An election campaign rally of the National People's Power was held in Kandy yesterday under the patronage of its party leader Anurukumara Dissanayake.
These were traditional UNP seats, yet thousands of people who are gathered at this ground today show that Kandy has also made a difference towards the compass, just like the rest of the country. Will they hold elections and then hand over government to the compass? No, they will not. There is another factor that we also believe in. The power of the people is the strongest among all these forces. We will gather the people of the power towards the compass and defeat the ruthless intentions of their government.
Now, the leader of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Sajith Premadasa, pledges to bring to book those who looted the country and to hold responsible those who destroyed the country. Speaking at an election campaign rally in Polonnaruwa, Premadasa further claimed that a ruling under the SJB will definitely repatriate the funds stolen from the country.
The Samagi Jana Balawegaya yesterday held an election campaign rally in Polonnaruwa under the patronage of its party leader Sajith Premadasa.
This government is not even capable of providing fertilizer to the farmers. That is why they can't even come to Polonnaruwa. They can't go to the people. I invite all the prominent figures of the government to join me to meet the farmers. Join me if you can. These farmers have a very strong hope. And that hope is that only the SJB along with Sajith Premadasa will rescue them from the pit they have fallen into. We will apprehend the thieves, and all those who destroyed the country will definitely be brought before the law. Not only that, we will also repatriate the funds stolen from our country.
රටින් හොරා කපු සල්ලි ටික ලබා ගන්නවාමයි.
Welcome back. Now, amid an economic and financial meltdown in the country, individuals and businesses are also burdened with increased taxes. As protests raged against the tax revision yesterday, preceded by many more in the recent past, AdaDerana reached out to experts on the matter. Now, tax consultant N.R. Gajendran highlighted that while individuals of lower economic strata are hit hard, there is legitimate concern on whether corporates are taxed enough. Meanwhile, Professor Siri Hettige called on institutions and think tanks to study the impact of the tax revisions to understand the burden on individuals and make adjustments where possible.
The upward tax revision comes as the government awaits an International Monetary Fund extended fund facility of $2.9 billion, which officials claim is crucial for economic recovery. The president, in his capacity as finance minister, raised corporate taxes to 30% from 24% effective this year, after almost doubling the value-added tax from 8% to 15% last year. The higher taxes come as inflation and borrowing costs pose a serious threat to business activity across Sri Lanka. However, speaking to AdaDerana, tax consultant N.R. Gajendran highlighted that corporates making large profits can carry a greater incidence of tax relative to the burden placed on individuals of lower economic strata.
Individuals at the higher strata of income, their taxes have gone up double from 18% to 36%. But people who are at the lower strata are paying taxes almost sometimes 10-11% more than what they paid before the increase. If a person had 300,000 rupees, he would have paid about 3,000 rupees before the increase, and now he will pay about 35,000. People have said, even in government institutions who are earning a relatively high income, their take-home pay is negative when this new tax comes in. So the individuals have a challenge to balance between three important requirements. They need money for their basic prerequisites. Also, they need monies to make good for the financial commitments. And now you have the taxes. I believe there can be evasion in this case. The corporates are not grumbling on taxes because the corporate rates have gone from 24 to 30%. Huge profits that have been reported by the corporates, whether they have been taxed enough is one question. Everyone is saying they don't mind paying taxes, but they don't know what public good the taxes is doing. Individuals are asking, there is no focus on managing corruption vulnerabilities. They feel the people in high positions in public offices, taxes have not impacted them.
Meanwhile, acknowledging the disruption caused by the drastic increase of taxation, Professor in Sociology Siri Hettige called on academic institutions and think tanks to do more research on the impact of the tax hike.
Yeah, with this new tax regime, we have moved away from a low tax regime in the country. Normally, you have high tax regimes in welfare state where public investment in what people really need on a day-to-day basis is very much taken into consideration. For instance, in Nordic countries, they have a fairly high tax regime. They certainly provide all the public goods that people need, and therefore there is a lot of public support for high rates of taxation. But also they have other objectives, is a way of reducing income inequality. We introduced, when you introduce a taxation system, you have to figure out whether people could really manage with what they have, and if they cannot, how are they going to manage? And the other thing is, when we make drastic changes, we have to look at how these things impact on different segments of society, and of course disruption that is can cause can be quite significant, and that is really what we are observing today. And I do not know whether there had been any significant serious analysis of how this is going to really impact on the wider society, and if that has not been done, then it would be very, very important to really find out what is really happening now.
Now, a bilateral air services agreement was signed between the Netherlands and Sri Lanka in The Hague in the Netherlands. According to the Embassy of Sri Lanka in the Netherlands, the bilateral agreement will provide a stronger platform to further intensify connectivity between both the countries as well as Europe and Asian regions. The instrument, inked at the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, provides inter alia for the designated airlines of both countries to fly between Amsterdam and Katonaike and beyond their respective territories. Issuing a statement, the Embassy of Sri Lanka in the Netherlands noted that while the agreement broadens avenues for leisure and business travel and enhances business interaction, it will also provide a speedier conduit for the transfer of cargo. The Sri Lankan shares closed high today, lifted by gains in communication services and financial stocks. The CSE All Share Price Index rose 1.05% to close at 9,225.99. The broadband services provider Sri Lanka Telecom PLC and financial services company LOLC Finance PLC were the biggest boost to the index, rising 7% and 4.9% respectively. Trading volume on the CSE All Share Price Index fell 62.4 million shares from 78.8 million in the previous session. In the meantime, food, beverage and tobacco sector was the top contributor to the market turnover, while the sector index gained 2.05%. Capital goods sector, meantime, was the second highest contributor to the market turnover due to Haley's and John Keel's holdings, as the sector index increased by 1.80%. According to data, foreign investors were net buyers in equity market, purchasing stocks worth 115.9 million rupees, while domestic investors were net sellers, offloading shares worth 1.46 billion rupees. Now let's take a look at how the rupee traded against other major currencies in the world. And that's all the news we have for you this evening. Join us again tomorrow for the very latest news at the very same time. Subscribe to our social media pages to stay updated on the very latest news. A pleasant evening and good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.